Hi everyone, my name is Rahul Verma. I'm a solutions architect at Very Good Security, which means I spend my time explaining to our customers how they can use VGS to securely handle any kind of data to solve any kind of security or compliance challenge. Today, I'm going to walk you all through how to use VGS to issue a credit card without ever having to handle sensitive data yourselves.
Now, the very first step in issuing a credit card is to first make sure our applicant is a trustworthy person to extend a line of credit to. To that end, we're going to collect some information about this guy and then send it on to the credit bureau, and the credit bureau is going to respond with a credit report and a credit score. Now, in order to do that, we're going to have to collect Alfonso's social security number, and then we're going to send it on, of course, to the credit bureau. The thing is, we're not interested in the social security number itself. We just need to pass it through so that we can get what we're really interested in, which is the credit information. Let's use VGS to take advantage of this fact. This UI you see here is going to send the social security number to VGS so that VGS can store the real value inside the secure vault. What VGS will then do is create an alias, and an alias is what's going to get sent to our server. Our server is going to use that alias as a key for the real data. To obtain the credit report, we're going to send the alias through VGS to the credit bureau. After the request has left our backend server environment, only then will VGS reinsert the social security number into the outbound request. That way, the credit bureau will receive the social security number and give us back the correct credit report, but our backend, neither our server, nor our database, nor our network, none of that is going to have to deal with handling a social security number. So I'm going to go ahead and hit send here. And this view you see here is a glimpse of what our server saw. So you'll notice that our UI sent this inbound request to the user's endpoint to create this user. And what our server actually got wasn't the SSN we typed in, it got this VGS token, this alias. Our server promptly sent that alias to the API for the credit bureau, and it wrapped it up inside the JSON request. But again, after this request had left our environment, VGS replaced this token with a real value, and that's how we got back a credit score. So here's our picture of our applicant so far. We've got his credit score. But let's decide that we want a little bit more information. So now we're going to go to a second source of data, and that's going to be Plaid. Plaid is going to give us some bank account information. So I'm going to go ahead and connect here. And the nice thing about Plaid is that they have their own setup such that you can obtain this kind of financial information without having to collect any sensitive data from your user at all. So this flow you see here is actually not going through VGS. We're talking directly to Plaid. And the reason I show this is to point out that because VGS is this proxy approach and will let you choose when you use us and when you don't, we're there for when you need us. When you need this credit score and you need to use the social security number to get it, we're there. When you don't need us, we stay out of your way. The point of VGS is that we can give you more options because we allow you to handle sensitive data that you otherwise would have to expend a lot of effort and money to properly handle. Again, our goal is simply to enable you to use as much data as you need to accomplish your goals. And what we've accomplished here is we've determined that, yes, between this credit score and between the amount of money Alfonso has in the bank, we want to issue this credit card to him. Let's go ahead and do that. And what's going to happen now is our server is going to make a request to the Marqeta API and receive back card details, a credit card number and a CVV. Now, as you can imagine, we're getting to particularly fraught territory here because now we've entered the realm of PCI compliance. However, VGS solved this problem for us. You see here that what we got back from Marqeta wasn't any real data, but rather VGS aliases. Here's one for the PAN, here's one for the CVV, and that's because the response from Marqeta went through our proxy intercepted the request, again, placed aliases in the place of real data, kept the real data inside the VGS secure vault. So none of our code has yet to encounter a real credit card number. We're still entirely out of PCI scope despite having made this credit card. So now let's go ahead and display the card details to our cardholder. So you'll see now that this UI is displaying a real credit card number and a real CVV. You might be wondering if this places our UI into PCI scope. Surprisingly, the answer is no. And that's because what you see here for its card number field and the CVV, these are actually iframes, secure elements that are controlled by VGS. And what that means is that even if this UI were to somehow be compromised, the attacker could not read these details off of this page. Those will still be firmly within VGS's control. Now, our card holder here doesn't know the difference. You'll see that I've managed to superimpose this information over a credit card. I'm very much in control of how this information looks. But again, under the hood, VGS still owns the data. VGS is still holding onto it. You do not have the burden of securing this PCI data. So hopefully you can see here how using VGS you can take what normally is a very messy process in terms of data security, collecting PII, using it to obtain PCI data, and hopefully you can see that through VGS this becomes a very painless process. And that's our goal here as a company, is to take data security off of your shoulders so that you are free to innovate however you want to. Thank you.